Hit record. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. I hope we're back ready to do it again. It can be hard to get back in the swing, but we will start by asking God to help us to get back in the swing. Christ my Lord, the giver of light and wisdom, who opened the eyes of the blind man and transformed the fishermen into wise heralds and teachers of the gospel through the coming of the Holy Spirit, shine also in my mind the light of the grace of the Holy Spirit. Grant me discernment, understanding, and wisdom in learning. Enable me to complete my assignments and to abound in every good work. For to you I give honor and glory. Amen. Most blessed Lord, send the grace of your Holy Spirit on me to strengthen me, that I may learn well the subject I am about to study, and by it become a better person, for your glory, the comfort of my family, and the benefit of your church and our nation. Amen. All right. Again, welcome back to a new year. We are starting the second half. Are we with me, Christian? All right. I have papers for you, but you do not have papers for me because I was a nice person and I did not say write a paper. Let's see. Okay, let me think if there's anything I want to mention. Oh, okay. So before I look at any papers, so you're not being targeted, right? And I don't even know if it's in this class, but I just wanted to say it. I got just tons of spellings of Griselda. Well, not tons of spellings, but sometimes it's an S and sometimes it's a Z. And here's the thing, guys. When you're writing a paper, don't guess at how to spell characters' names. Look in the book. Just look in the book. Now, again, I don't even know. I promise you, I'm looking at you, I have no idea who wrote what. Okay? This is just a blanket statement. I'm going to do the same thing on Thursday. Because it just makes it, okay, I know you guys and I care for you guys, but you may have teachers someday who don't know you and may not care, right? And it just makes you look like you didn't try, right? You couldn't even go look in the book and find out how to spell it. So don't do that. That said, I did not correct anyone's spelling. You know, this is just advice for you going forward in your life. I'm not upset with anyone or anything like that. Yes, Christian?
I did learn how to spell it in the book, but the computer, I can't correcting it.
Yeah, and see, that's the problem. That's some of you still handwrite, which is really, I mean, we live in a world where eventually everybody has to type things in, unfortunately. But the handwriting is really, you have control over it, and it's actually better for your brain. They've discovered that typing does something different to your brain than handwriting. So a lot of times when they work with people with learning disabilities, they have them handwrite. I'm not telling you to handwrite everything. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's totally okay to handwrite. And I also understand, because I've sent any number of texts to people that were not what I wanted to say, because it corrected it. It corrected it, right? But it was not correct anymore. Yes. So I get that. The other thing is, for some of you, see, I think I gave you guys different instructions than I gave the Thursday because I ran out of time on Thursday. So I can't even remember what I said to people. But for some people, I might have written on your paper, oh, and what is the name of this story and who wrote it, okay? I'm not totally sure I told you to say that, all right? Because what we're going to do over this semester is we're going to work on this sort of paper, the literary analysis paper, and we're going to work on the persuasive essay. That's basically what we're going to do. Maybe I'll throw a couple of lighthearted, break the tension assignments in there because it gets a little grueling. And we'll go over the introduction for these and everything. So again, if I wrote that on your paper, don't be, well, she didn't even tell us to do that. Just calm down. I couldn't remember if I told you to or not. I think that is all I have to say. Also, if you are not marking your things, your figures of speech in the margin, it is time to do it. All right? And also, I've decided I'm going to change my mind about something. And this is directed a little bit at Christian, because you've asked about it. When you can't print it out, if your printer's on the fritz or whatever, and you have to email it, I think maybe you should go in and at least maybe highlight. You don't have to go in and, because I know you can't really put things in the margin without, but if you would highlight, then I know you tried to put them in. But when, and I get, sometimes you have to email it. This is fine. But if I expect you to mark it, then I have to give you some way to mark it, right? So I will just say that if you just bold them or highlight them or italicize them or whatever's easy, in the text, and I can figure out which one is which, okay? All right, thank you for listening to this very long introductory speech. Ben, okay, I am sorry, this one has no name, and probably because, okay, the next two. Who emailed me a paper? Okay, is this you? Is this you?
That's Luke's.
Oh, okay. How about this one? Anybody like that one?
That's mine.
Okay, you guys think about it. Think it over. Oh no, this is Luke's. This is Luke's. Luke did not email me. This is Julia. So by process, Katya, I wrote your name. So, okay. What have I got? Is this you? All right.
Notice that Luke usually does his thing by
But he wrote his name on it. He gave it to me. Okay, we are having a problem. Okay, it could be from another class. Okay, is that yours?
What?
Are you totally sure that's yours? Oh, and everybody else has one? Okay, then this must be for Thursday. Man, I am also having trouble getting back into the swing of things. Hello. Okay. I gave you the festive assignment of reading about the Black Death over break. You're welcome. Yes.
Have you ever read or heard of Crispin and the Red Cross?
No. Sorry. You know, I was reading, it's been 20 years since, if any book like that came out in the last 20 years, I probably never, oh, okay, was it? So why don't we turn to our reading questions on page 39. We finished the Book of the Middle Ages, so we will start the second book for next week. But let's go over the reading questions. I brought something interesting, and hopefully, I don't know, as fun as the Black Death can get. It's not really fun. Okay. First of all, what do you guys know about the plague?
It was spread by fleas.
Yes. Well, the fleas were on the rats. It's like there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. The fleas on the rats on the ships. We're carrying the plague. Yes, on the sea, we're carrying the plague. Yes, ma'am.
It originated in Asia and took 10 years to cross the
Yes. So there's some joke that circulates. It's never ask a man how much money he makes, a woman how old she is, or a rat what he was doing between 1353 and 1400. Because, he was carrying the plague. I will be 60 this year. So I am 59, if you do some very quick calculations. Well, actually, because of what Bryn said, let's keep your hand there at the questions. But I actually have a map in the back of your book. Everybody turn to page 85. And this gives you a really good visual. Okay, so I need you to be quiet. I need you to be quiet for a minute, okay, and listen to me. So, like Bryn said, the plague originated in Asia, as far as we know, and so rats get on ships, and fleas are on rats, and they carry this illness. You don't have a page 85? Oh, that's okay. Look on with Bryn. I don't. Maybe your pages got in the wrong order when you put them in
I
the.
don't have it either.
Wait. What?
Yeah, I have it. Maybe we should come with this.
Did Did some of my reading guides not come with all the pages? Well, here, go to someone who has it. Everybody see it. Put yourself next to somebody who has it, okay? So look at the bottom line that says December 1347. It curves around Corsica and Sardinia and Sicily. Can everybody see that? Yeah. So this is how far it had spread. It was already in Constantinople by December of 1347. Now by the next summer, June 1348, look at that line. It's the next one north. It spread all the way north to Paris and all of Italy. By that December, we've moved up. June of the next year, it's past London. And by 2 years, in 2 years, it's spread all the way up to Scotland and Denmark. Now, interestingly, the dark gray spots, did everybody see the dark gray? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It says cities and regions partially spared by the plague. For whatever reason, it says even on the caption there, we do not know why a few regions escaped relatively unscathed. Now, we had an illness traveling around the world a few years ago. This was not a bad, it was not a bad, severe illness. Okay, I'm not trying to make a political statement. It was no plague, all right? Most people who got it were fine. And I'm sorry if you had someone that you loved that wasn't fine. But most people that got it were fine. It was not an important illness. But the reason I bring it up is because it spread quickly. Why do you think that the plague took 2 years to get from Sicily and southern Italy to England, but COVID went fast? What do you think, Ian?
Because the flag was condensed. Well, we had more. It was condensed in cities, and then there was for Asia. You had to cross mountains. And
Okay.
few
Oh,
trains.
yes.
Better transportation.
Yes. All of those things together. So people are in, well, actually people aren't condensed in cities, then people are spread out in rural areas. So imagine Iowa without the big cities. Take away Des Moines and Cedar Rapids and everything, and just everything that's left. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And a few very small towns. I mean, now they're not so small. You know, pretty small towns. For us, a town of 10,000 would be a pretty big town, and for us, it's not a big town. Do you know what I mean? But so if most people were living like that, and then Julia said transportation, most people aren't traveling around. And to spread an illness, you've got to travel. You've got to be with someone who has it, right? So it took a little while to travel by our standards, but by their standards, 2 years to take out Europe, that was fast. It was very deadly, and it was miserable. Interestingly, the bubonic plague still exists today. You can still get it, but it is treatable. We have medications to treat it. It's not common, but every once in a while you'll hear that there's been a confirmed case of bubonic plague. They can do tests for it, but they can treat you. It's not a death sentence. For most of these people, it was a death sentence, which takes me to the first question I asked you. What fraction of the population of Europe died? I'm going to give it to Christian.
1/3 of the population.
1/3, 33.33%. I want you to stop for a minute. If you have 3 people in your family, and presumably all of you have at least 3 people in your family because you have parents and you're you, all right, 1 of you is now dead. If you have 6 people in your family, 2 of you are dead.
Ooh.
But yes, then if you have 9, 3 people are dead. 4 people are dead.
Oh no.
We could go on and on. But I mean, this makes it hit home. But it wasn't like that. It wasn't, the plague doesn't come around with a questionnaire asking, and how many people do you have in your family? Oh, we will be killing X number of them. Sometimes whole villages died. I mean, it wiped out everyone. So it wasn't that it was this uniform, okay, every family in Europe is going to lose a third of its members. No, maybe your family doesn't lose anyone, maybe your entire family dies. But the average, it's a third of Europe, not a third of each family. But I just feel like if you think about your family, on the average, it really hits close to home. So there's 6 people, I have 4 kids, so two of us are dead from the plague, and that's just...
Do you count your dog?
No, sorry. As far as I know, there were no statistics about animals. I also don't know, Ben, if it was transferable to animals. Not every illness goes back and forth from animals to people. Some do. What were you going to ask, Brenda, or say? I feel like you had a hand.
That pertains to who has after us.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I'm intrigued. So, I'm going to talk about this for a little while. What was one economic result of so many deaths? What happened to the economy? Ben? That's okay. Calm down. It's all right. It'll still be there.
There were surf revolts.
Yes. Why?
Because they got sick easier. Because they weren't treated.
Oh, that's a really good answer. That's not an economic result, though. So economic has to do with money.
Well, that's why they revolted. There's another reason why they revolted. They wanted fair wages.
Okay, so why do they suddenly want fair wages?
Because there were some of the only people left.
Okay, because if there are only a few people to do a job, okay, think about the way this works. So okay, I don't want to be insulting to anyone, but this is just true. It's totally fine to work at McDonald's. But it also does not take a lot of skill. Do we all agree with, this is not offensive to anyone, or to work at Walmart or something. My brother works at Walmart. He's nice. He's a nice person. But I'm saying it doesn't take a lot of skill. So there's a lot of people who can do it, right? So if you don't want to do it and you quit, they don't have any trouble finding someone else to do it. So they don't have to offer to pay you very much because they can just replace you. Does that make sense? Now, if you're a brain surgeon, this does take a lot of skill and a lot of training and a lot of practice, because I don't want somebody operating on my brain I don't want to be their first patient, right? So they make a lot of money because what they do is very specialized. So, which camp do you think harvesting food out of the fields belongs into? McDonald's or brain surgeon? What?
Brain surgery.
Probably not. I think anybody can do it. You might need a little bit of, here's how you swing the scythe, and here's where you pile it.
Don't hit your friend.
Don't hit other people with your scythe. Don't hit yourself with it. It doesn't take a lot. So the work the serfs were doing was not high caliber work. So they were low on the pay chain. They didn't make much. Suddenly, a third of them are dead. And you are the lord of the manor. You all, I'm not even going to pick one of you. You all have been promoted to lord. Nobody's going to have to be a serf today. That's just mean. We'll come back after the holidays. You can all be the master of the manor. And you've got, I'm the queen. You've got crops in the fields that need to be harvested or they will go bad. But you have a third less. You have only 2/3 of your former workforce. And you need them. Yeah, and maybe less in your area, right? You need them. And they know it. They know it, so they say, hey, I'll do it, but, oh, exactly, but you got to pay up. We want some cash for this service. And so I wrote down some stats I got from somewhere else. So it is not important to know how much a shilling is worth today. Just listen to the change, okay? In 1347, before the plague broke out, laborer, this isn't serfs in the field, but this is like I load lumber onto carts, or just some sort of labor, manual labor. 2 shillings a week. That's what that was standard pay, minimum wage or whatever, they didn't have that. 2 years later, 1349, it's gone from 2 to 7. 7 shillings a week. 1 year later, 11. It's gone from 2, in 3 years, it's gone from 2 shillings a week to 11 shillings. It's almost increased 6 times. Yeah. Why? Because they don't have enough people to do it. And the people who can do it, who are alive, know it. And they say, pay up. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, if you are the lord of the manor or you own the lumber mill or whatever, how do you feel about this?
Slightly concerned.
Yeah,
Angry.
profits are going down because I got to pay so much to get workers.
You slaves are supposed to do this.
Okay, now, think about something else. You're the lord of the manor again, right? And here's how you make a lot of your money. You have vast farms, and your serfs harvest, and you sell the food. You send them to towns, and you sell at markets and whatever. So you send your food to the local villages. It doesn't sell very well. Why doesn't it sell very well anymore? Well, maybe you're charging more to make up for it, but what's the other problem?
I mean, all the serfs would be looking for you, so there's not enough people to actually pay for it.
Well, yes, but what happens to the food you sell?
Lot.
No, the food you sell. I mean, in general, just
Not as much.
people eat it. People buy. There's not as many people. It's harder to sell your stuff because, a third of the village is dead. And, the dead people don't need food. So now, if there's more, follow this. If there's more of something than people want, is it expensive or cheap? Cheap. That's why gold and diamonds are expensive, right? Like people want them, but they're rarer. That's what gravel is cheap, right? Dirt is, well, if you want to have dirt carted in and dumped in your yard, that can be expensive, but you know what I mean. So when there's food and then lots of people want your food, the price is good. But now there's plenty of food, but not enough people to eat it. There's a lot of product, but not enough consumers. And the prices go down. So look at what just happened to you, Lord of the Manor. Your serfs want to get paid more, but you can't make as much money because there's not enough people to buy what you have. Or you own the lumber mill, right? There's not enough people to buy your lumber. It's rough. And we don't think about that. The fact that when a lot of people, it's not very pleasant, but when that many people die, it changes everything economically. It changes the money situation. And so people were not doing, even the living people, I'm sure they were thankful to be living. But I'm sure they were also very worried and upset because they didn't know what they were going to do to stay afloat and not, like Ben said, not be in debt. Before I look at the next one, so many people, when you got the plague, your friends and family just abandoned you because they were terrified that they were going to get the plague. This is not a good thing. There were many, many good people who took care of the sick and got sick and died. But they knew it was their job to take care of the sick. But there were doctors, and one thing that they did, they tried to figure out, how can we not get it? And they knew, okay, we didn't have microscopes, right? You couldn't look in a microscope and say, oh, here's the virus or the bacterium or whatever. But they knew that being around the sick people made you sick. They knew it spread from being around them. They didn't know quite how. But if you could protect yourself from whatever it is that gets in you, you might be safe. So they invented these masks. Yeah. And it looks, I know. So here's the thing. The part that looks like a beak, I don't know. Okay, I just don't know. They stuffed it with herbs that were supposed to purify the air that came in, and they thought that it would keep you well. Now, they were pretty tight fitting a lot of times, so it did help. I don't think the herbs had anything to do with it, just the fact that maybe you weren't breathing in the germs as readily. But this is a plague mask. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what kind of herbs they did in it?
I do not.
What is it? What does his hands look like?
I don't know. He's got really, really long fingernails. And the text is in Latin, and it's in that weird script that I'm not good at reading. So I have brought, for your pleasure, a plague mask. We're not okay. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let everybody put it on simply because it's cold and flu season. And it would be ironic if we all tried on the plague mask and then made each other ill. I feel like your parents would not appreciate that. If we all stick our faces one after the other and breathe and snort into this. But I will put it on.
Okay, that is so creepy. No.
I know, it's,
I thought it was supposed to be metal.
I don't know. This is a new one. I mean, so I won't wear this for, can you even hear me?
Yes, I can.
Your beak is
It's,
so off.
it's, yeah, I can see. Okay, is that better?
That looks like James.
It's kind of fogging up.
That looks like an
You know, my eyes are fogging up and I can't really see very well. Anyway, so my son, during COVID, my son bought this because he thought it would be funny. He said he was going to wear it to work. And then he was worried. So it's going to be over before I get my plague mask in the mail. Yeah, so it's hollow. The beak part is hollow. And of course, this one has these rivets here. And I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't have had these because you don't want the air coming in unless it was covered with the herbs. Don't know. It is kind of stifling even with the little holes, but so anyway, this is what's being, shown in the picture. That's all I have to say about that. It was just for fun. I brought a plague mask in.
That was awesome.
I think so too. I asked my son, "Can I have it?" Like, yeah, I can have it.
For COVID, I was gonna wear like a Spider-Man mask to like.
I wore
Walmart.
a Spider-Man mask to Walmart.
For COVID, I'm like, if they told me to, you're not wearing your mask, I'm like, I got a Spider-Man mask on. What are you saying?
Very cool.
So,
The next question, because we have to remember that we talk about things sometimes when we study history, like, oh, the Black Death, oh, Joan of Arc and the 100 Years' War and all these things, and we don't think about them overlapping in any way, but I just kind of blew up the next question. But anyway, Dorothy Mills says that French peasants revolted in 1358 during the plague. This was partly due to the stress of the plague, but what other reason for unrest may there have been in France? What was going on in France? The 100 Years' War, which was largely fought in France. France never attacked England. England just kept attacking France. So they were fighting there. People were dying. People were dying in battles. People were dying from the plague. It was awful. So this goes back to what Ben mentioned about rebellion. Famously, a bunch of peasants led by a guy named Wat Tyler revolted, the Peasants' Revolt in England. And unfortunately, the king was young. It was Richard II, and he went out and he said, oh, I want to talk to you and meet your demands. And apparently Wat Tyler was a little bit rude to the king in one of the courtiers' opinions, and he just stepped up and killed him for being rude to the king. And Richard's like, buddy, why? What? No, that's not going to calm people down. Killing their leader is not going to calm them down. And so, so people were dealing with death everywhere, money problems, rebellion, unrest. It was a really bad time to live. And sometimes when we go through bad times, it makes us think about God more. Does that make sense? And when we're happy, this is the sad truth of life, right? When we're happy and everything's going perfect, it's very easy to forget that God is in control and you owe everything to Him. But when bad things happen, people tend to remember. So this was a time of a lot of people doing what we would call soul searching, right? What's my relationship with God and with the church? So that brings me to the second half of this chapter. There were some people, primarily we read about in England, in the midst of all these peasant rebellions and death and economic problems, that started questioning everything. And one of them was named John Ball. And I asked you, what principle did John Ball emphasize in his sermons? There was something in particular he harped on.
Bible.
That'd be nice, but no. But yes and no. Did anybody write anything down for that one? Tell well, other than the Bible. No offense.
No.
It had something to do with the Bible. What did John Ball?
Suffrage.
What?
Suffrage.
Okay. Serfs. Let me read a sentence here.
Have land too.
For more than 20 years, listen to this. For more than 20 years, agitation was carried on amongst the peasants by John Ball, a Lollard preacher. Lollard meant a follower of John Wycliffe, who the next question is about, who went up and down England trying to stir up opposition to inequality of serfs and lords. Why do you get to be the lord of the manor and this poor person has to harvest your fields? What makes you any better? This is John Ball. And his famous saying was this, and I've read this in many, many books, but it's hard to know what he's saying unless you know what some of the words mean. Yes, Ben?
Is it when Adam delved and Eve spawned, who was the gentleman?
Yes. So what does delve mean? When Adam delved, what does that mean? Does not. What? No? Delved. See, I'm so glad I brought this up. It means dig. When Adam was digging, because what was Adam's job?
Farming, gardening.
He was a gardener. He was created to take care of the garden. When Adam delved and Eve span. Okay, back then, span was the past tense of spin, like with a spinning wheel, thread, right, sewing. So it's saying when Adam was digging and Eve was using a spinning wheel, although I don't think Eve had a spinning wheel, but you know, In other words, when Adam was doing his outdoor work and Eve was doing her household work, when Adam delved and Eve span, who was then the gentleman? Who was nobility? Well, it's a rhetorical question. The answer is nobody. There was no nobility and serfs. In other words, John Ball was saying mankind wasn't created to have some people noblemen and some people serfs. Back in the beginning, everybody was equal. That was his message. And who's going to like that message? The serfs are loving that message. You're right. You're right. What makes them better than us? Who's not going to like that message? Everybody who's the noble class. The kings, the lords, the dukes. They're not going to like that message so much. But again, put that on top of everything else we've already talked about. The labor force is down because people are dying. Money is tight for the lords because the serfs are demanding more. In France, at least, people are rebelling. In England, too, people are rebelling, the serfs. And on top of it, we've got this guy running around preaching how wicked it is that there are noblemen keeping the serfs down. All this is going on at the same time. That's a lot of change. It's a lot of problems. Okay, one last question. List a few of the beliefs and achievements of John Wycliffe. What's his deal?
Studied at Oxford.
Studied at Oxford. Yes, Bryn?
He thought that parish priests neglected their duty.
Okay, which, to give Wycliffe some credit, often was the case. Often was the case. Everybody needs to understand something about the church in the late Middle Ages. You could buy the office of bishop for your son. He's like 9. And you could buy it and then you make the money. He gets the pay. There were priests who did not know how to read it right. They just learned the Latin, they just memorized the Mass, but they didn't know anything. They didn't understand what they were saying. Not all of them, but things were not so good in a lot of places. So when he said a lot of priests maybe are neglecting their duties, in a lot of cases this was true. Now, in many cases it was not true. You might remember, you might not, at the beginning of the Chaucer storybook, when we were meeting the people, there was a guy who was a really good priest. He had a brother who was a farmer and a guy who was a priest. And Chaucer, in the original, tells us he was a good man, and he spent his time riding out into the farms when people were sick and praying for them and praying with them and taking care of his flock. He was a good man. And then we also meet some church people in the Canterbury Tales that are just rotters. They're just in it for the money. Okay, what else? John Wycliffe's achievements or beliefs? Yes.
He thought that the friars were lazy and ignorant.
Yes, and you know what? Sometimes they were. I have a question for you, a philosophical question. If you use something or do something in the wrong way, does that make that thing no good? No. So, for example, if I whack a door open with a hammer so that I can break in and steal stuff, does that make hammers evil? No. I just shouldn't use it that way, right? So, if some priests don't do their duty, does that make the church all bad?
No.
See, no. But John Wycliffe, I thought maybe it did. That's not totally fair to his position, but
He had a bad case of the screws.
what's? Oh, yes. So he did something that he's very, very well known for, and I haven't heard anyone mention that yet.
Bible to English.
He translated the Bible into English. Here, I underlined a bunch of stuff. It says he attacked the clergy, outspoken about land held by the church, challenged the authority of the Pope, challenged the power of the Pope to excommunicate. He said every priest, listen to this, that every priest in the church had the right to teach and preach what he chooses. And began, and with the help of some pupils completed, a translation of the Bible into English. Now, we have a mix. I think there's a mix. All my students, all my classes, they are Catholic and Protestant, you know. But there's a misunderstanding, and a lot of you have been Catholic always, and you don't know this. There's a misunderstanding in Protestant circles often that the church forbade any Bibles to be translated into other languages, that they wouldn't let them do that. It's not true. You might know Cyril and Methodius, who invented the Cyrillic alphabet and preached to the Slavs. They invented the whole alphabet, for crying out loud, so they could translate the liturgy and the Bible into their language. Alfred the Great, remember Alfred the Great? He had translated Psalms into English. So this was okay. So you might say, because Wycliffe got in trouble for this. Let me see if I can finish the story. It says, the authorities ordered Wycliffe's Bibles to be burned wherever they might be found. And in 1401, a law was passed for the burning of heretics, and a cruel persecution of lollards began. Actually, Dorothy Mills doesn't tell you this, but I will tell you. He died in his country parish, but later the church came and they dug up his body and burned it and threw his ashes into the river in punishment for this. So a lot of people think, oh, it's because the church didn't want people to be able to read the Bible.
At least he was already dead.
Which is much better. If you're going to be burned, it's a better situation. The problem with some of these Bibles was okay, let me think of an example. I'm going to translate, I'm translating a book, okay, from another language. And there's this word in the other language. And I could translate it a couple of ways. I could translate it homeless person, or I could translate it bum. Okay? And do you guys see the difference between those two choices? All right? And in the original language, it's basically, because I mean, not to be cruel, but that's what bum always meant. Somebody who goes around begging. That's a bum. But we don't call people bums anymore. We don't think it's a very nice thing to say, right? And we realize that people aren't always in that condition by their own choice. Okay, but I'm writing this book. I'm translating this book, and I have to choose whether I'm going to say homeless person or bum in my translation. Knowing that when people read it, they're going to get a certain vibe. This was what a lot of the translations started doing. They started picking words that made the church, the Catholic Church, look bad. And their teachings not to be true. That was the problem the church had with it. It wasn't putting it into another language. It was the way they did it. Does that make sense to everybody? Whether we lean Catholic or Protestant, I mean, I feel like we can see that you could do that to kind of bend people in a certain way. John Wycliffe's got a nickname. They call him the Morning Star of the Reformation. In other words, the harbinger. He's not the Reformation yet, but he's the thing that's giving the signal that it's coming soon. Just like when you see a very, very bright star in the east, right before the sun comes up, it's actually Venus. And it's the last star to fade. It's the last star you can't see anymore. And you see that and you know morning is coming. They're saying that's what John Wycliffe was. He's the last star of the night, and the Reformation is going to dawn. Which takes us to our next book, the book we will be reading. Yours might not look like mine. It might look more like this cover. It doesn't matter. It's the same book. Yeah, yours looks like mine. Renaissance and Reformation Times. So the second semester we're going to talk about, okay, what happened to the medieval world to turn into the modern world. And there were two very big things, the Renaissance and the Reformation. So for next week, this is in your reading guide, but I want to kind of belabor this. You're going to read chapter 1, but you're going to read, okay, chapter 2, part 1, but part 1, I'm sorry, no. Chapter 2, part 1, and part 2, but everybody look here. See, this says part 2 Florence, and then there's a little Roman numeral, 1. I want you to read parts 1 through 4 in chapter 2. Let me see how I put it on your reading guide. Yes, so you see, read chapter 1 and read chapter 2, part 1, and part 2, sections 1 through 4. It will make sense when you open the book. Katya, is that book you've got, is that the Renaissance and Reformation Times? Does yours also have a Roman numeral 1 through 4? Okay, I want to make sure all of them were the same. Oh, they've got like an A, B.
There's also like Roman numerals on the side.
Does it make sense to you looking at it? Okay. So does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense to you, if your copy of the book, because our copies aren't all the same, just email me or take a picture of it and say, what am I supposed to read?
Chapter 1.
Okay, I think we'll be good. All right, next up, The Hobbit.
I love that.
Yay!
And I also want to talk about, we are going to do some writing this week, I know, but you had all of that break. Okay, get this out of my way. So actually, let's just talk about the writing, and then we'll spend the rest of our time on The Hobbit. I'm hoping to, for some reason I have lost my marker. And I really thought I got it out. Oh, it's in, is it in my book? Oh, it is in my book. All right. We have done these papers before, but to get back into the swing of things, I would really like to just let you do something that you have a little more leeway on. It still has to do with the Middle Ages, so don't get too excited. No, don't boo. We are going to do another one of these 5-paragraph persuasive essays. So I'm going to write on the board. If you need to copy it down, do so. We've done many of these. Paragraph 1, the introduction. 2, 3, 4, and 5 is the conclusion. And this is reason 1, and you've got 3 supports. Reason 2, and you've got 3 supports. And reason 3, and you've got 3 supports. Does this sound familiar to everyone at this point?
Yeah.
The big question is, what is the question? The question is, what is the question that you're going to answer? And it is this. Here's the subject. Do you need a pen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Why you would or would not want to live in the Middle Ages? Why you would or would not guys, shh. Guys, we're talking, but we're not adding anything. Oh, somebody just turn the thing. There you go. All right, we're outlining our paper, Christian. The topic is why you would or would not want to live in the Middle Ages. You're going to choose one.
Alright, so yes, no, yes, so.
Why would you or why would you not?
Yes. I don't want to hear both. I don't want to hear the good and the bad. I want you to choose one side. And what you need is 3 what we've called umbrella reasons in the past, large reasons. In other words, I really liked their hairstyles. That's not an umbrella reason. What are you going to say about that?
I really like the way they looked, how they dressed.
Okay, see, now Julie's got it. So you could say, I like the fashions. You could say, I like the long dresses. I like hairstyles. I like medieval fashion jewelry. Okay, see what she's done? See what Julia's done? She picked an umbrella reason that it's easy to have 3 supports for. Give me a reason you might not want to live in the Middle Ages. Throw something out.
No electronics.
Okay, that's very narrow, isn't it?
Technology. There's no
Okay, lack of technology. Now, how could I support that? What would I say if that was a reason? I don't want to live in the Middle Ages because they lacked modern technology. What do you say now? Because you need 3 supports. Okay, can't communicate over long distances.
Won't be able to play a lot of games and we'll be bored a lot.
No electronic games.
Actually, you want to be really bored because you know,
I need one more. We need one more.
you know modern travel. You know,
Okay, you're not going to be traveling very far. Do you see how we did that? But if we started with no phones or no video games, well, see, what am I going to say about that? So here's the thing. You know, in movies, sometimes the camera goes close up and the person's face is really big and they fill the screen, right? And then sometimes the camera pulls back and you see all the countryside. What you want to do is pull back for these. Then your reasons narrow in. Give me another reason, since I think this is going to be harder, that somebody might want to live in the Middle Ages. What would be something good? We said fashions, maybe.
More festivities.
Oh, okay. Actually, this is true, but I like bins.
Every day there's something special.
Okay, shh, guys, are we listening? Does anybody know what bins was? More festivities. Okay, so,
Every day there's something special.
okay, every day, lots of days there's something special. What else is good about mini festivities?
It's very fun.
but you won't have any friends.
Okay, but fun. Hey guys, stay with me. There's lots of fun and there's many festivities. How are they different? What? They aren't. So, if we say there are many festivities, okay, let's stop, guys. Because what we're doing here is what I want you to do, okay? If we think that that's maybe the camera's a little too close, how can we pull back from festivities? What is a bigger thing that there are many festivities could be a part of?
Fun.
Okay, fun. But festivities and fun, we just said, were kind of the same thing.
Everyday life.
Okay, everyday life. Everyday life. Now, we're going to have to sell that everyday life in the Middle Ages is desirable.
You did not have near as many distractions from technology.
Okay. Fewer distractions, more festivities.
Get outside.
What?
Able to get
Okay, people aren't trapped in cubicles, working in office buildings. They're healthier, right? Because they're working out in the sunshine. What? What? Yeah, because we don't have office type jobs, so many of them. See? So look what we did, guys. See, we got stuck. Like, oh, I think lots of festivities. Oh, shoot. Well, how can I say 3 things about festivities? I don't know. Here's what I'm going to have to do. Pull the camera back just a little bit and widen it and see what that could be a part of. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you understand? Let's practice it one more. Give me another reason why you would not want to live it. Oh no, go do whatever it was. If it was a yes,
No,
give me one,
it's
Julia.
not to live there, but like there's more ways to travel. You can like fly. It's faster to fly places. You have more like ways to travel to places that
So that's a reason you would not want to.
you would not want.
Okay, which is kind of what we just did, right? Because we just said technology, right? That falls under technology. Do we have another one that doesn't have to do with technology?
I feel like there's more cures for sicknesses nowadays.
Okay, so here's, everybody listen to me. Health. Well done, Christian. Because here's what, everybody watch this. Look what Christian said. Cures for diseases. Okay, that's kind of close. Because what can we do? How can we support cures for diseases? No, listen. If I want my big reason to be, I don't want to live in the Middle Ages because they didn't have as many cures for diseases. What is the only thing I can do to support that? What are 3 things I can list to prove that? What? Okay, I'd have to list 3 diseases. That kind of makes for a boring paragraph. If my main point is, stay with me, because I think you guys can do this. If my main point is, today there are more cures for diseases, my only choice to support that is to list 3 diseases that we have cures for. There's nothing else to say about that topic. But if I swing it back just a little bit and talk about overall health, now I can say many diseases are curable today. Now, can we think of 2 other ways that we are more healthy now or support for the fact? What?
Better, cleaner doctors.
Okay. We have better access to health care today. Yes, and cleanliness standards. We understand more about cleanliness. See, so suddenly, just by pulling back a little bit, we filled it all in. Whereas when we were zoomed in on diseases, well, our only choice is really just to discuss 3 diseases, which you could do. Because I don't know if you're aware, I'm sure you're aware of this. People used to die of infection. You know, people get things infected all the time today. And you go to the doctor and they give you antibiotics and it clears up the infection. People used to die of it. You got a scratch and it got infected and it killed you. And today we just go to the doctor and they give you a jar of pills. Yes. Yeah, Ben, what were you going to say?
clean water supply.
Okay, so that could go with health standards.
And I think I have another one that goes with technology.
Yes.
Is back then they have disinfectant stuff that cleanses your water.
Yes, we can purify water, whereas back then, that could go with technology or the health thing. That one could swing either way. Can anybody think, I feel like we're a little weak on the we would want to live there. Can anybody think, we fashions is all we got so far? Oh.
Is King Arthur before the Middle Ages?
No, we can call him part of the, technically yes, but we can call him part of the Middle Ages. Because we want to live with King Arthur? Yeah. Okay, that seems very tight. So you like the King Arthur vibe? Okay, living in the time of knights and ladies and chivalry What are some things that are good about that? Why would we want that?
Tournaments?
Okay, because tournaments would be super exciting to watch. Give me another reason. As a festivity.
Good food.
Okay, feasts, roasted pigs and whatnot. Good, exciting food. And what's another King Arthur-y?
Servants?
Okay, and hey, can you turn and say that to them?
What?
Servants?
She wants servants. She doesn't like John Ball and his everybody ought to be equal. She's like, bring on the servants. I want to have servants. Okay, so that you could do that. Here's how you're going to do this paper. You're going to get a piece of paper. You can do the pros and cons, but I think maybe for this one, the way we're doing it here, I want you to pick a side. And then I want you to make an outline. Are you with me, Julia? I want you to write down your 3 reasons, and then I want you to write down your 3 supports. That's the first thing you're going to do. Pick a side. Now, what if you pick something and you just can't think of enough support? What are you going to do?
Change.
Yeah, and how are you going to change it? You're going to pull back, make it bigger. Instead of diseases, talk about health in general. Instead of festivities, talk about daily life and the vibe of daily life. Yes, Julia?
Add more than like 3 reasons.
You can add as much support as you want. 3 is a minimum.
100.
So here's what I ought to be able to see. When I read your first paragraph, but not your first paragraph, your introduction, your first body paragraph, it ought to start with something like, the first reason I would want to live in the Middle Ages is because of the beauty and nobility of the aura, right? And then you would list the 3 King Arthur things that you like. Or I would read, the first reason I would not want to live in the Middle Ages was because of health. And then I ought to not have any trouble finding 3 things that you say about that. Does that make sense? Are we good?
Yeah.
You've done this before. I just want to reiterate. That's what I'm looking for. Tell me what goes in an introduction.
Your 3 reasons.
Question.
Okay, yes. So an attention getter,
Ask a question.
yes. An attention getter.
State your reason.
And what is the question? What is your answer? And what are your 3 reasons? Now, guys,
Yep.
I'm telling you flat out, these are the 4 things I'm looking for. I'm going to look for an attention getter, a question or a command. I'm going to look for what is the question? Somewhere in your introduction. You say, people, you might ask, would a person want to live in the Middle Ages? Okay. Somewhere you need to say in your introduction that this paper is about living in the Middle Ages. I want to definitely see, yes, you would, or no, you wouldn't. And I want to see your 3 reasons. I am looking for that in your introduction. Does that make sense to everybody? All right? What do we put in our conclusion?
You relist the question.
Okay, restate the question and answer. So it is obvious to anyone with half a brain that no one would ever want to live in the Middle Ages. Okay, that's kind of insulting, but that would repeat it.
Mrs. Ferguson, just imagine living in a time without Culver's.
That would be
I don't
horrible.
ever go to Culver's. It's too expensive. I went once and their fish sandwich was like $8. Like, I'm not.
That's life.
No, it wasn't that good. I'm rather a fish sandwich connoisseur. I always get fish sandwiches.
You.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mrs. Ferguson, next time you
Okay.
get burgers.
No, be with me. Be with me.
I love fish sandwich.
Guys, here's the thing. I'm going to look for this stuff, and I think that maybe by this semester, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to give you the paper back and say, do it again. So you need to do it the first time. Restate your 3 reasons. Yes, Bryn.
Parallelism.
Well, let's talk. I just want to talk about what actually information. And what's the other thing I've been asking you to do in your conclusion?
Restate the reasons and maybe put a clincher.
Well, which
Which is your favorite?
yes is most important or favorite or
State
strongest?
your opinion.
Yes, and why?
I really like to state your opinion.
I like to hear your opinion. You know, and I say that health is the primary concern because if you have your health, you have everything. And everyone is miserable when they are sick. Something like that. I mean, end with a bang.
Is one.
Or I say that the most important reason to live in the Middle Ages was the daily life because of the people work too hard today, and we need more festivities. Right? Give me your opinion. Are we okay with this? Do we feel like we're okay with this? All right. Yes, I want to see P1, P2, alliteration, and a strong verb. We're not going to add anything this time because this is the first one back since break, right? Let's just keep it the ones we've been doing. Oh.
What? Did you turn off?
No, it says my battery is running low.
Oh no.
Oh, it's because the thing wasn't on. All is well. All is well. Does anybody have a question about this? Okay. I want you to write this week. I really don't think that's crazy. I mean, I realize it's the whole thing and do the outline and everything, but I mean, basically, I've already given you 1 or 2 for each side. I mean, you can use those. The stuff that we discussed here, you can use those. If you are writing and you can't think of a third one, or you can't think of enough support, here's what you need to do. You need to turn the lock thing.
I have.
Okay, so it's up and down.
Go back now. Go back now.
Oh.
Wait, go back now.
Interesting.
So it should.
Yeah, it's working.
No, you won't be able to tell unless you're on the other side. But if you if you push it in, the little lock, yeah. But if it's up and down, then it's unlocked. I'm sorry. Okay. Email me or call me if you have trouble. So I'm going to look for all of these things. I think it's time to up our game, and I think, guys, your junior high students, you ought to be able to follow directions, right? So if I asked for all these things, and I'm recording this, so I mean, I don't always post them, honestly, if nobody misses, but you can always ask, say, Mrs. Ferguson, will you post that so I can rewatch the part on the paper? Yeah, sure.
Mrs. Ferguson might be missing out on a
Go,
million
go.
views.
I'm not missing out on any views. Okay. Let us talk about characters. We talked a little bit about characters when we talked about Walter and Griselda. It was very interesting to me to see your
Mine has pictures.
oh, awesome. It's yes, I'm familiar with that artist. Michael Haig, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I picked 3 characters. Guys, could you stop having a conversation? Because it's rude and no one can hear. Take your reading guide and turn to the back where on page 73, where we looked at the character traits. And what I like to do is I just like to talk. I picked 3 characters. We might have time for them. We might not. Yes, and Bilbo is the first one, obviously. So, what is Bilbo like? In other words, what is important important
Me too.
to Bilbo? What? Well, I don't mean physically so much. Okay, breakfast is important to Bilbo.
Smoking.
Smoking. Hey,
His house.
guys, this is a moment to pull back. Breakfast, smoking, his house. Yes. What were you going to say? Say it. Comfort. Yes.
Doesn't he think of his house
Comfort.
like 3 times through the journey?
What?
Oh, I missed my comfortable chair.
Yes. And he says, and not for the last time, right? So hobbits in general, and Bilbo in particular, comfort is a priority. And is camping and traveling generally comfortable? I mean, maybe if you have a really fancy RV or something like that. But in general, when you're sleeping on the ground, not so much. Not so much. What? Why do you think then he is willing to go on this trip if comfort is such a high priority? Well, do you think, Ben says for the money. Does it strike you that Bilbo is going for the money? Is the money a sure thing?
Maybe the experience.
Friends.
He's got adventure running in his blood.
Ah. He has Took ancestors, and the Took family occasionally has adventures. He, every once in a while, wants a little more. But when we meet him at the beginning of the book, he's middle-aged. He's not young. Hobbits apparently live a little longish, not super longer than human beings. But when we meet him, when Gandalf meets him, okay. And let me read this paragraph. Now, not that Belladonna Took ever had any adventures after she became Mrs. Bungo Baggins. Bungo, that was Bilbo's father, built the most luxurious hobbit hole for her, and partly with her money, that was to be found under the hill or over the hill or across the water. And there they remained to the end of their days. Still, it is probable that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, got something a bit queer in his makeup from the Took side, something that only waited for a chance to come out. The chance never arrived until Bilbo Baggins was grown up, being about 50 years old or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father, which I have just described for you, until he had in fact apparently settled down immovably. So, he's got something ancestral in him. But still, does he seem to want to go on this adventure at the very beginning when the dwarves all show up?
No.
What's his main concern?
Good morning.
Yeah, which means what? When he says it like that. Yeah, it means go away. It's so funny. I love that. Gandalf says, what a lot of things you use good morning for. Now you mean, I'm done talking to you. Go away. He doesn't seem to want to go. What tips the scales? Did anyone notice or did anyone remember? What makes...
He looks at the paper and then he just runs off to the...
Well, yes, but why did the paper get left there in the first place? I mean, if the night before he had just told the dwarves, I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't want any part of it. But he didn't. Let me read this. Okay. He passed out at one point because he was so agitated from fear of what they were talking about and dragons and journeys and everything. And after a while and a drink, he crept nervously to the door of the parlor. This is what he heard. Gloin speaking. Or some snort more or less like that. Will he do, will you think? It's all very well for Gandalf to talk about this habit being fierce, but one shriek like that in a moment of excitement would be enough to wake the dragon and all his relatives and kill a lot of us. I think it sounded more like fright than excitement. In fact, if it hadn't been for the sign on the door, I should have been sure we'd come to the wrong house. As soon as I clapped eyes on the little fellow bobbing and puffing on the mat, I had my doubts. He looks more like a grocer than a burglar. Then Mr. Baggins turned the handle and went in. The Took side had won. He suddenly felt he would go without bed and breakfast to be thought fierce. As for little fellow bobbing on the mat, it almost made him really fierce. Many a time afterwards, the Baggins part regretted it, what he did now. And he said to himself, Bilbo, you were a fool. You walked right in and put your foot in it. What changed his mind? The dwarf's talking bad about him. He's a loser. Can't you tell? He's not going to do. He's a total loser. And just something in him doesn't want to be a loser. Now, why did they come to that house? Why did they come to his place? Gandalf put a sign on the door. One thing we can learn about characters is what other characters say about them. What does Gandalf think of Bilbo? Does he think he's brave right now? He's got, we'd call potential, right? He seems to have potential. Also, Gandalf just thinks it'll do him some good. Gandalf also knew the old Took. He knows the family. He's like, oh, Bilbo, get too lazy. You need something to shake you up. But he seems to know. He seems to know something about Bilbo. The part you read so far, I know some of you just read the whole thing, or you've read it before. But what I had you read was all the way up to meeting Bjorn, the guy who can change into a bear, and after they've killed the great goblin, and he's found the ring, he's met Gollum. You've read all of that, okay? Has Bilbo done anything in that portion that makes it seem like Gandalf made a good choice? What's one thing he's done?
When he got lost, and then he found Gollum, and then he slipped through all the guards.
Oh my goodness. He was invisible, but he was very resourceful.
He was small, so he could just bend over.
Yes. He was very, very resourceful. Because I don't know about you guys. If I was lost in tunnels deep under the ground, it was pitch black, I would just have a total emotional meltdown.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be able to think. But he thinks, he could show me the way out. And when he realizes that the ring has made him invisible, he's like, I can follow him. He'll lead me to the way out because he thinks he's chasing me. He thinks that, or even just the riddles. By the way, where have we met? Where have we talked about riddling before? Do you remember I brought in Beowulf? And yeah, it was an Anglo-Saxon thing to riddle. And here they are riddling. He kept his head. Is there any other time we see him keeping his head? You know, like maybe not making the best decision, but
When you have to go down and see the dragon.
well, we haven't read that part yet. So I'm just talking about up until where they get to Bjorn's house. How about the trolls? They see trolls, and what do? Hey, you're the burglar. Go burgle something. Well, they're trolls. How's he supposed to do that? Now, does it turn out well? No, and who saved them?
All the Gandalf.
Gandalf saved them. But he actually crept up and was trying to pull something out of the troll's pocket and would have done it if the object hadn't, been enchanted, and kind of made noise and spoken to it and attracted attention. He keeps his head. for somebody who's never been out of the Shire and never really gone anywhere and done anything, I think he's doing pretty good. How about Gandalf? What do you think of Gandalf? What is he like? He's funny. He's funny. Can you give me an example?
When Gandalf comes to get Bilbo and the dwarves, after all the dwarves appear, and then Gandalf comes up behind them. When Gandalf first meets Bilbo, without all the dwarves, he goes, well, Gandalf is me. And he also has really good fireworks.
Yeah.
Yes, except we don't hear any of that. We don't know that from The Hobbit, unfortunately.
Say something about
Did they say about his fireworks?
Bilbo remembered.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I'm sorry, Ben. You are right. Let's see when we meet him. It's always good to go back to the text. I apologize. Okay, here we go. If you had heard only a quarter of what I have heard about him, and I have only heard very little of all there is to hear, you would be prepared for any sort of a remarkable tale. Tales and adventures sprouted up all over the place wherever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He had not been down that way under the hill for ages and ages, not since his friend the old Took had died, in fact, and the hobbits had almost forgotten what he looked like. All the unsuspecting Bilbo saw that morning was an old man with a staff. He had a tall, pointed blue hat, a long gray cloak, a silver scarf over which his long white beard hung down below his waist, and immense black boots. And then, okay, let's get to the part where he introduces him. Yes, here's what Ben was talking about. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me. To think I should have lived to be good-morninged by Belladonna Took's son, as if I was selling buttons at the door. And then here Bilbo says it. Oh, not the wandering wizard that gave old Took a pair of magic diamond studs that fastened themselves and never came undone till ordered. Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties about dragons and goblins and giants and the rescue of princesses and the unexpected luck of widows' sons. Here we are. Not the man that used to make such particularly excellent fireworks. I remember those. Old Took used to have them on Midsummer's Eve. Splendid. They used to go up like great lilies and snapdragons and laburnums of fire and hang in the twilight all evening. You will notice already that Mr. Baggins was not quite so prosy as he liked to believe. In other words, that there's no poetry about him. Prose is the opposite of poetry. And that he was quite fond of flowers. He likes those things, doesn't he? The excitement of it. It's bubbling out. Well, what have we seen of Gandalf in the part we reread? We know that about him. We know his past with the hobbits. Is he, well, hey, turn the page in your reading guide. Let's find a character quality that suits Gandalf. Determination. Where do you see him showing determination?
He doesn't give up on saying, Bilbo used to go on this journey. It'll be good for you.
Yes. You would think that when somebody pushes back, and the dwarves who say, I don't know, he doesn't seem like the sort we want. Dependability. When did he show dependability, Anne?
When he came back.
When he came back and saved him from being eaten by trolls. What? Squashed into jelly. Also, dependability, and I was looking right next to that, discretion. How does he introduce them to Beorn? Resourcefulness. How does he introduce them?
As he's telling the story.
Why? What's the whole plan there?
Because Bjorn doesn't have a lot of friends. Bjorn is kind of keeps to himself and his animals and stuff.
All right. So he's suspicious of strangers.
Definitely not fond of dwarves.
He doesn't like dwarves. He doesn't entertain. And Gandalf knows all of this. Also, remember the Arabian Nights book. What does Gandalf do to hook Bjorn?
Tells them a tale.
Tells him a story. And he leaves off at key moments. And like, oh, yeah, here's a couple more. Now, do you think that Gandalf just made a mistake every time he said, and so the 4 of us, and so the 6 of us?
Do you call 2 4?
Yeah, no, that's not a mistake.
Slow.
He cast it, and he's reeling Bjorn in because he's reeling him in, indeed. All right, one last character, perhaps, is Thorin.
Ooh.
Tell me what you know about Thorin.
King.
He's a king, but is he currently serving as king?
No.
No, why not?
Because the dragon.
Because the dragon killed members of his family, took his home and his treasure. And he's been doing odd jobs. He's been working. What is important to Thorin? What makes life worth living for Thorin? Okay. Why might he, what's his motivation?
My granddad was king. My dad's gone, so it's my turn.
This is my heritage. Yes, he's got determination too, doesn't he? He's determined, I will take back what is mine. Now, part of that is the kingship. What else is his that he'd like to take back? Okay, which we don't know about that yet. But what do we do know is there in general? Treasure. Treasure. How do dwarves feel about treasure? They really like treasure.
If you ask me, Thorin seems just slightly dull. It seems like all dwarfs are kind of dull, and like the elves are very extravagant.
Dwarves are a little bit narrow-minded, perhaps. They go about their business, they want their treasure, and they're really good at mining, smithcraft, all of these areas. What say? Music and music. Does it surprise you when this group of dwarves breaks out their musical instruments and decides to have a sing-along?
That was kind of weird.
Which song?
Like they're old.
Well, any of them.
I like Chip the Glasses.
You chip the glasses and break the plates, yes.
That's what Bilbo Baggins is.
All right, we will continue talking about these characters. I would like you to read chapters 8 through 11 of The Hobbit. That should take us about halfway through the book. You know what? You guys, just to let you know, we are reading The Hobbit and The Complete Lord of the Rings. That's happening this semester. You zip as far ahead as you want to. If you get into it, it's fine. You might want to, before class, glance over the portion I had you read for that day, just to remember, okay, this is the part we're talking about. Because I'm going to try not to go beyond that, just so that people who haven't read ahead, and especially if you've never read it before, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, right? But that is what you're reading, and you just go crazy. You read as far ahead in those books as you want to read if you're enjoying it. So, Hobbit, begin Renaissance to Reformation times. Write me a paper on living in the Middle Ages, and let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you next week.
Thank you, Mrs. Ferguson.